Today on the Bandrew Says podcast, we'll be analyzing the FTC targeting social media companies regarding shady advertising practices, YouTube hiding the comments section, and a whole lot more, so go ahead and stick around. Greetings, Earthlings, and welcome back to episode 20 Trace of the BSP. My name is Bandrew. This is what I says. Like always, in the episode notes down below, there are timestamps of everything that I talk about, so you can save a few minutes. But if you got the time, I would appreciate you checking out the entire episode. If you do want a different version of the show, audio or video, you can find that at bandrewsays.com. And if you want other amazing podcasts, this is part of the Geeks Rising podcast network, geeksrising.com. Let's start with the FTC story, and it all begins with the FTC releasing a public statement requesting comment from the public on the topic of influencer disclosure guidelines. And they just released this, and I will link a few posts in the episode notes for the call to action, as well as the current guidelines and a 101. An educational post from the FTC for influencers. And I won't cover the entire call to action here. I just want to share one portion of it because I think it is the most relevant for individual or independent content creators. And the statement is titled, "Focus on advertisers, not small influencers." When individual influencers are able to post about their interests to earn money on the side, this is not a cause for major concern. But when companies launder advertising by paying someone for a seemingly authentic endorsement or review, this is illegal payola. If these companies are also pressuring influencers to post in ways that disguise that their review or endorsement is paid advertising, those advertisers especially need to be held accountable. I am concerned that companies paying for undisclosed influencer endorsements and reviews are not held fully accountable for this illegal activity. I agree with my colleague, Commissioner Noah Joshua Phillips, who noted that posting deceptive or inaccurate information online or engaging in other deceptive conduct, like selling fake followers, distorts the online marketplace, preventing consumers from making informed purchasing decisions and creating an uneven playing field for those that follow the rules. When we do not hold law-breaking companies accountable, this harms every honest business looking to compete fairly. Now, I'm a little bit torn on this because as somebody who creates online reviews, I want to make sure that online reviews stay as trustworthy as possible, and I like the idea of not just targeting the creator who is engaging in this non-disclosure, but also targeting the company that allows for that or even advocates for that. I think that is really essential in weeding out this bad behavior. But on the other hand, as someone who is maybe not more susceptible, but more interested in conspiracy theories, I am always a bit hesitant and reluctant and skeptical about the government getting involved in this type of regulation. But let's start with why I think this could be a really good thing, or potentially be a really good thing. I believe that one manipulative video being posted online that is not properly disclosed can really erode the consumer's faith in online reviews, and rightfully so. Just go back a few weeks on this exact podcast and re-listen to the Cinco debacle that I discussed. You're not able to trust a single review on any of Cinco's product listing pages because it was uncovered that Cinco or Cinco's distributor was paying for 5-star reviews. Therefore, you don't know if any of the positive reviews are actually positive due to good interaction and a good experience with the product, or if it's only a 5-star review because somebody was paid for it. That also brings into question pretty much every single review that's on Amazon or any online retailer, really, because you don't know now if that is bought and paid for, or if it's a positive review that is solely based on that customer's good experience with that product. So in my opinion, it's not that far-fetched to think of a YouTube viewer stumbling across a manipulative video where the creator doesn't disclose that they have a relationship with a company, automatically then thinking, well, I can't trust anybody on YouTube because I saw this shady behavior. There's nothing in place to stop it from happening in the future, so I don't think I can trust anybody on the platform anymore. That's not that far-fetched to me. That is why I do everything in my power to ensure that everything on my channel is above board and as transparent as possible. I disclose at the beginning of every video that I receive something for free. Hey, I received this product for free. And before I accept any products from companies, I make them review and accept my disclaimer, my terms of service, stating I will disclose this relationship in the video review I do of it. And I also state, you don't get to review it before the video goes live. You have no say in this video. If I do have a problem with a product, I will verify with you that it is not a faulty product, but you don't get to say anything else because I want to cover all of my bases and ensure that my ethics are not able to be questioned. I want it to be as honest and fair as possible. I don't want somebody thinking that I sent my video to the company for review and the company came back and said, hey, we don't like how you worded that one thing. Can you change the wording just a smidge to make it more favorable to us? I don't want that to be a possibility, so I make it as clear as possible. Anybody can review my stuff, and I think that's why it could be good that this is being rolled out, because there are shady people on YouTube, and if the FTC getting involved does fix that, that would make YouTube a much more reliable source for high-quality information and reviews when somebody is trying to make an informed purchasing decision. And to elaborate a little bit more on this topic, the way I think it would be accomplished is by requiring a company to include in the endorsement contract a line stating and requiring the creator to disclose the relationship they have with that company, whether it be receiving the product for free or whether they are actually being paid to create an advertisement or anything along those lines. The reason I think that would be more effective is because then this requirement would be right in the face of the creator, forcing them to come to terms with it, and also opening that creator up to being sued by the company for violating or breaching the contract. And I know some people are already thinking, well, Bandrew, it's already a requirement by the FTC. If they're not following it now, how will they follow it ever in the future? You're right, I agree. If people aren't following the FTC regulation, which is much more scary than a company potentially suing you, I'd much rather piss off a company than the government. But I think that some people are big old dum-dums, and they don't research the regulations that dictate how they can function in their industry, so they're completely unaware of the requirements, or maybe they're just playing dumb. But I think by adding that requirement into a contract, that could potentially resolve the issue and make more people aware of what is required of them to remain compliant with the FTC as well as the contract that they're signing. But now what about why I think this could potentially be bad? That's because the government doesn't necessarily have the best track record for implementing regulations in the most efficient or effective way. Meaning this could potentially lead to a huge bureaucratic nightmare for any company that wants to work with a creator. And if it becomes too much of a headache, companies might just throw up their hands and say, all right, I don't want to do this anymore because I have to jump through hoop 1, hoop 2, hoop 3, and hoop 4 is on fire. And then on the other side of that hoop that they're making me jump through, there's a pool full of sharks with laser beams on their freaking head. No, this just isn't worth it. And if it does get to be too much of a bureaucratic headache, these companies might pull all of their funding out of online social media marketing and sever all ties and relationships with these online content creators, and then throw their money into traditional media, whether it be television or print media, or an established online outlet that has an editor-in-chief and some kind of checks and balances in place to ensure that everything is in appeasement of the governmental regulation. But that's my take on it. I think it could potentially be a very good move to bolster the reputation of YouTube and Twitter and Instagram as a good place to advertise, as well as a good place to find unbiased reviews and help you make informed purchasing decisions. But we'll have to wait and see, and again, I will link a few articles from the FTC in the episode notes if you want to read a little bit more about it. Next story, YouTube is hiding the comment section. Let me explain what's happening. On iOS and Android, I believe, some people are starting to see hidden comment sections on YouTube. And what you see is beneath the video, you see the channel name and the subscribe button and the bell notification icon like normal. Then you'll see a number for the amount of comments left, an area to type a comment, and 2 or 3 highlighted comments. Then you have the up next section, which is much, much longer. And I just have to say, I hate this so much. The reason I hate this, engagement and interaction with creators is one of the most amazing things about YouTube, and it's what sets it apart from traditional or over-the-air media where you are just sitting there mindlessly watching some television. You have no way of easily engaging with the creators of that TV show or that movie. And now YouTube is taking active steps to make it more difficult and add additional clicks to actually get to the point where you're able to engage or read what people are saying about a video. And I think that is a huge detriment and takes away a little bit of what makes YouTube special. But why would YouTube be doing this? Because I can guarantee you that there are good people at YouTube who are fully aware that the comment section is something very special about YouTube that sets them apart from traditional media. My initial thought would automatically be, it's because the comment section is more of a headache than it's worth for them. All you have to do is look at 2019 and the pushback from online personalities, as well as the advertiser boycotts. We saw this in terms of hateful comments being left to people, as well as abusive comments being left on videos that contained youths. And all of that had negative press surrounding YouTube, which led to people boycotting YouTube or advertisers boycotting YouTube, neither of which YouTube wants to happen because YouTube wants to earn money and they need advertisers to do that and people for advertisers to advertise to. So what is another possibility, a more likely reason for YouTube to be approaching comments this way? I think in order to understand this, we need to look at what you used to see before YouTube made this change. Previously, you would see the channel name with the subscribe button and the bell icon. Then you would have 3 to 5 videos that were up next, and then you would have the entire comment section, which took up the remainder of the page. This means that every single time somebody watched a video on mobile, YouTube only had 3 to 5 opportunities to get somebody to watch another video. Since YouTube has made this change, it seems like they have many more opportunities to advertise additional videos and get people to watch more content, ultimately leading to a longer watch session, which means people watch more videos means more advertisements means more money for them. I think that is what the real reasoning behind it is. Yes, it does have the added benefit of hopefully making it more difficult for people to comment, meaning there's going to be less hate comments, and also, hopefully, less likely to have abusive comments on videos that contain youths, even though I think comment sections on videos with youths has already been disabled. But I think it's money. I think money is the bottom line in all of these decisions that YouTube is making, which makes perfect sense because for the millionth time, YouTube is a company. Companies exist to make money. Big shocker. Next, let's talk about something a little bit lighter, a little bit more fun, and a little bit more informative for a YouTube creator. Now, YouTube has rolled out a subscriber status or subscriber age icon next to commenters' names. So next to a commenter's name, you will see a red circle, or you might see a red circle. If you hover over this, it will then tell you publicly subscribed to you, and in parentheses tell you how long they have been subscribed. Now, I do think this is only in beta testing because I haven't seen this on every single channel that I have access to, so just keep that in mind. And also, in order for this to work, I am fairly certain that the person who is commenting has to have their subscriptions marked to publicly viewable in order to see how long they have been subscribed to you, because YouTube can't, throw that to the wind and say, this person doesn't want their information made public, let's make it public. So just keep both of those things in mind. Just a nice, soft, light change to end out the news with. I hope you're excited about that because I found it kind of neat. Lyoin, by the way, thank you for subscribing for 7 months to the Bandrew Says podcast channel. I appreciate you. Absolute legend. Now let's jump to what you had to say. And the first comment comes from Thomas. He says, someone needs to just rig a lav mic on a turkey leg and do fair coverage talking into the mic'd up turkey leg. Maybe even put the station logo on the leg too. Thomas, I know I already replied to you, but I think this is a wonderful, wonderful idea. And next time there is a Renaissance fair, I will 199,000% do this. Maybe I should say next time there's a Renaissance fair that I attend, I will make sure to do this. I'll take a podcastage sticker, I'll take a lav mic, I'll take a portable recorder and a camera, and I will record an entire day coverage of the Renaissance fair talking into a turkey leg, because why not? At the end of the day, I'm going to have to eat it though, and I hope the stickers don't fight back and kill me. Thomas, great idea. Next comment comes from Lyoin. You may recognize him from the story I just talked about. He says, yeah, I don't do flights anymore. Not so much due to the ads, but because it's too uncomfortable. Being 6'5" is both a blessing and a curse, and on a plane, it is not helpful at all. Last time I flew was in the 90s, and it wasn't bad. However, I was much younger, and my knees and back didn't scream at me so much. Now I doubt I could do long flights without some massive amounts of alcohol. Maybe some weed pre-flight, lol, as I would not be a happy camper to be stuffed into an uncomfortable seat for any length of time. Lyoin, thank you very much for the comment. I appreciate you so darn much. I do need to include a disclosure. I do not condone the use of illicit substances. I do not condone the use of illicit substances. However, I understand completely why you might need some medical assistance in flying. Because as time has gone on, airlines seem to have done everything in their power to make it as unpleasant as possible, and some substances might assist in making it bearable. I know when I drank, that made it much more pleasant to fly, because it would take the edge off. It's already an unpleasant experience, so if you have something that helps you get through it, more power to you, as long as it's not illegal. As long as it's not illegal. They've gone from flying being a luxury or a nice experience more towards, I'll put it this way, I'm fairly certain soon they're going to have metal railings lining us into the plane, and they're going to start poking us with cattle prods, just leading us to our slaughter. That's how unpleasant it is. So I understand why you don't fly. I don't recommend it. It is terrible, terrible, terrible experience. Lyoin, I appreciate you. Next comment comes from Ryan, and he says, we finally got one of my fellow Aussies here, and that Canon 90D main angle is so sharp. Ryan, thank you so much for the comment, and you are not alone down in Aussie land, down under. There are quite a few Australians who listen to this, and I appreciate each and every one of you. You are beautiful. I love your country. You are wonderful human beings, and I am happy that you have discovered that you are not alone down there in Australia. And I do agree, the 90D, insanely sharp. As I mentioned, I think it was last episode, when I started to compare the GoPro to the 90D, I really started to realize how sharp the 90D was, but also how soft and terrible the GoPro's image was. So this week, I want to let you know I am not using the GoPro as my secondary angle. I am using the Canon 70D. The Canon 70D with the Canon 10 to 18mm lens on it is what I am using as my secondary angle. I don't know about the framing. The framing seems a bit funky to me, but I am doing what I can. Hopefully the colors are better. Hopefully the secondary angle is much, much sharper and much more easy to watch. So I wanted to share that with you. Thank you very, very much. Now, let's jump to my favorite part of the show, the Ask Bandrew segment. Alrighty, if you have any questions, you can go to Ask bandrew.com, and there are instructions on how to send in an audio, how to send in video, or how to send in an email asking your questions, and you will most likely be featured on an upcoming episode of the show. Thank you so much for doing that and making me not have to read. Audio and video are my favorite, and we have 2 audio submissions today. The first one comes from Anonymous. Take it away, Anonymous. Tell me your name. Who are you? Who are you? We've been infiltrated by the deep state. Tell me.
Bandrew, help me out here. Is Julian Krause an alien? That dude has freaky skills. Just saying.
As I said, we have been infiltrated by... Wait a second, we gotta go somewhere real quick. Who, other than some shadow governmental agency, would want to know of the knowledge of Julian Krause's alien DNA? Why would they benefit from that information? Would it not just be a YouTube viewer who is interested? Nay, why would they care? It must be a show. Let's get out of here. This is stupid. Anonymous, thank you very much for that comment. I will say I do think Julian is a freak because he is very talented at what he does. He has an insane amount of knowledge, and I wish that I contained a fraction of that knowledge so that I was able to do the same tests and demonstrations that he does, because I think those are very valuable. But at the same time, I think it's perfectly fine that I don't have that. It's a nice supplemental option. I focus more on, I guess, the real world. I am just playing it. Here's how everything sounds and works. And then he says, here's the scientific stuff. If you want to know the scientific stuff, here it is. And I think those complement each other rather well. But yes, Julian is a freak, really good at what he does. Next, we have a voice submission from Sean. Sean, take it away, good sir.
Hey, Bandrew. My name's Sean. You have to forgive me. I'm a little bit sick right now, but just wanted to ask a couple questions really quickly. Firstly, what are your thoughts on Sterling audio condenser microphones? It's what I'm currently using to record this voice submission. It's what I use to sing anytime I record a song here at home. Secondly, over on Podcastage, when you say I'm using a keyboard with Cherry MX Blues, what indeed does Cherry MX Blues mean? I am way too lazy to look this up, so I figured, hey, what the heck? I'll just, send a voice submission, get an answer that way. Bandrew, you're a legend. I appreciate you. I love all 3 channels, and anyone who does not follow Podcastage and Bandrew Plays, I suggest you do so at once. You are missing out. Thank you very much, sir. Have an awesome day.
Yes, Sean, what indeed does Cherry MX Blues mean? I don't know what it is about the way you said that, but I love the way you said it. It cracked me up when I first heard it. It sounds so conspiratorial. Yes, indeed. What does it mean? Let me answer your questions. First, thoughts on Sterling audio condenser microphones. I'll be honest with you, I don't think I have any experience with Sterling audio microphones, so I don't have any kind of opinion on them. I do know they are very affordable microphones, and I think that's where they really excel. They make recording much more accessible and get people into recording, and it will allow them to develop opinions on what kind of tones somebody likes and what kind of tones people don't like. And then from Sterling Audio, they can upgrade to higher end gear that is more tailored to the exact sound that they're looking for. So although I don't have any experience, I think there is definitely a place for somewhat reputable companies having a very budget and entry-level option available, because it makes recording accessible, and that is very exciting to me, and I think it's great that people are able to begin recording at pretty darn high quality for a very affordable price. Now, what indeed are Cherry MX Blues? Those are types of keyboard switches. So underneath each of the buttons on a keyboard, there is a switch that captures when that key is pressed, and there are different types of switches that have different feels to them. Some are clicky, some are linear, so there is no real kickback or feedback. Others are louder. Others are very quiet and silent. The Cherry MX Blues are some of the most clicky and loudest keyboard switches out there, and that is why I selected them. Well, I selected them because people kept yelling at me, "Why aren't you using Cherry MX Blues in your keyboard test?" Wah! So that's why nobody sounds like that, but that's why I selected Cherry MX Blues, because it allows me to test a microphone with the worst case scenario. Not everybody is going to use Cherry MX Blues. I think the majority of people will not be using Cherry MX Blues, but you can look at the review and the keyboard test where I do use Cherry MX Blues and say, well, I'm not using those, so the keyboard noise will likely be less pronounced. So it is a type of keyboard switch that is very clicky. It has a lot of tactile feedback, and it is very, very, very loud. And that is why I use it. I hope that answered your question, Sean. Thank you very much. I appreciate you. I appreciate you. And I love the way you said, yes, indeed. What does Cherry MX Blues mean? That's not how you said it, but in my head, that's how it sounds. And that is going to be it for today's episode. Thank you so much for stopping by and listening and watching and just being a wonderful human being. Happy Sunday/Monday. I hope you had a wonderful, wonderful Valentine's Day. I hope you got all the flowers and chocolate and love that you wanted, or all the pizza and horror movies that you wanted. Like, if you're a freaky, weirdo, loner, misanthrope like me. Why was it so hard to find a word to define myself? Thank you so much for watching. Thank you so much for listening. I will talk to you next week. Hope it's wonderful. Talk to you then. Goodbye.
This has been a Geeks Rising production. Your executive producer is Bandrew Scott. For more information, head over to www.geeksrising.com.